How you doing, Joe?
Good, Carlos. Good day, good morning, and finally looks like we'll have a little warmer weather here in May tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks like finally it is coming to fruition. We got these kind of fake where it's like I was up in Osakis, Minnesota to visit my in-laws yesterday, and the conversation that I had at the door, my wife's like, "Aren't you grabbing a sweatshirt or something?" I'm like, "It's going to be 60 today. Come on." And of course, I'm freezing. It's raining. It's drizzly. It's colder up by the lake, but it's nice now that we're going to have some real summer.
Yeah, and I just wanted to start off by saying, Oi, Bragato, to our Brazilian friends who speak Portuguese, who watch our show, which is hello and thank you for being fans of us. We've reached Portugal, so we're not Portugal. I'm sorry, South America.
South America, we have South that. America. We can knock off that. So we got 2 continents already. Yeah. That's pretty good. It's funny. I look at those stats and I'm fascinated by it. And I've actually now enabled what our host Buzzsprout calls fan mail.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
There should be a fan mail button. You don't have to be a fan. You can also be a critic. It sends us mail. Your message comes privately to us. I have yet to not share a message, even if it's negative or whatever, I share it. But in your message, if you just want to say, hey, this is private message for you guys, just let us know. We won't put it public, but we're looking for interaction. So we want to hear what people think of this show. And particularly as we wrap up the White Shadow here in a couple months, maybe, what should be our next show?
Yeah, and I just want to make one correction, which I was incorrect about.
Yeah.
In episode 2, Dr. Evelyn Crawford was not played by Kate Mulgrew.
Yes.
It was by the fine actress Christine Belford. So for all you Christine Belford fans out there, my apologies.
I actually made that same mistake and assumption. Honestly, I got to believe they're related because there's a fair, but actually, if you thought about it, her Voyager series came out long enough after the White Shadow that she would need to be some Keanu Reeves or Paul Rudd or one of these people that defies aging to be able to look the same. But thanks for that one. I appreciate that correction.
Yeah, and then we have the episode 4. We already get to the most popular character of the basketball players.
Yes.
Coolidge takes center stage in this particular episode, which I thought was not something that, as even NBA was a little iffy for me back then because it wasn't really on TV. More college basketball in the 70s, late 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
I think the early, like the Magic Johnson first, that was on tape delay.
Yeah.
So it was to hear about these other leagues.
I think Magic and Bird are the ones, those LA Celtics series. That's what really brought the NBA out of it. Before that, there was a lot of mergers and there was a lot of bankruptcies and trying to fill things in. And like a lot of sports in the 70s, there was a huge drug problem among the athletes too. And despite the fact that stars were using cocaine on the regular, it was thought of as way out of bounds if people were doing that. And my understanding is that was a big part of it. But to get to Warren Coolidge, who I want you to know, while I was still a young prep star and I was the tallest, I saw myself as Coolidge as a role model. As everyone got taller than me, I realized that dream was no longer going to be possible. But I did see as we're high school kids being approached in the 70s, and absolutely. In 1971, you had a Supreme Court case. That's what allowed, there used to be a 4-year rule the NBA had, which was, okay, you don't have to graduate high school, but you have to be 4 years away from high school before you can go to the NBA. There's a Supreme Court decision, I think it was called Haywood, that outlawed that. And then the very first professional out of high school was Moses Malone, who played in the ABA and then the NBA. But there was something called the Eastern Basketball Association, the EBA, operated through the 70s. There was the CBA, the Continental Basketball Association, that operated through the 60s and 70s. And then there was the ABA, which eventually merged with the NBA that operated in the 60s and 70s. And there were people out recruiting kids. And to the credit, and I honestly, the more I watch this, the more I'm impressed with the production values and the quality of these shows. Because I think I mentioned in the first episode, having gone back to some shows that are older, they don't hold up. This has the occasional line that I try to point out where it's like, not sure, but it really will. And so one of the things they point out in this episode is the scout, independent agent,
yes,
kind of slimier agent, which now leagues require agents to be registered and things like that so that they can get these swarthy characters out of people's. But they were recruiting them, but in the show, Ken Reeves says, "Hey, Coolidge, he witnessed you play your greatest game of all time. That's why he thinks you're NBA ready." And so,
yeah,
okay, so his call to the Celtics was kind of like, eh. But then he's calling some of these EBA franchises and stuff, and if he can get the minor leagues to give him $2,500, he gives $2,500 to Coolidge, he pockets $5,000. Then the owner.
To that young woman who is his
yes. Yes. I'm certain that is a recruiting element that is done by all colleges. I mean,
you think? Okay.
I'm fairly certain, but for the pros, would that work? I don't know. It all depends on what. I think a kid today, none of those things would work because kids today are too damn savvy. I guarantee you that you've got a prep star now. He can tell you exactly where his draft position he's shooting for and where he can go and what schools he'll get playing time, because it's not what I want to be my alma mater. It's what can help me become a pro.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see Coolidge be recruited by this kind of slimy agent in league with this beautiful young woman who's maybe in her 30s.
Yep.
Who is trying to entice a 17 or a 16, 17-year-old kid. So again, that gives us a little pause in America today in 2026, but it was done very well realistically and not in a way that was network TV, obviously, so not very graphic either as well.
But it was very clear the enticements that were being applied.
Exactly.
So I also found it interesting in one of the conversations that Coolidge has with Reeves, because Reeves like saying you're being naive, and Coolidge is like, you'll see when I'm playing for the Celtics. And I'm like, oh no, he's had Boston on his mind. He ends up at St. Elsewhere.
That's right.
Working in the hospital in Boston. So he had East Coast on his mind even early on.
Yeah, and I think just to go to that thing that Carlos referring to, the character Coolidge, goes to and is on St. Elsewhere, which is also produced by Bruce Peltrow, and has a scene, or he actually was semi-regular on that show.
As a orderly.
Then we'll put in the show notes a link to a highlight of him seeing salami on an elevator. His former teammate. So that's funny happenstance that even those guys have a little nostalgic about some of those things.
I love that, do that kind of stuff. I don't know if you remember, there was a show with Don Johnson and Cheech Marin.
I can remember
Nash
Bridges.
Nash Bridges. Okay, so there's an episode where Nash Bridges, and you just see Cheech and Don Johnson walking out of a restaurant and then walking down a sidewalk and then walking the other way. I can't remember the name of the other guy from Miami Vice.
I forget his name.
Tubbs, Tubbs and Chong are walking together, and they just kind of walk past each other, and they don't say anything at all, but it's just a sweet little Easter egg for that pairing. I don't know that I would watch a show with Tubbs and Chong, but...
So it was funny that you bring up Tubbs, because I can still remember a Saturday Night Live, the news, when they do the news weekend update, where when the big show Miami Vice ended, she said they started off the news by saying the world is spinning a little faster today. The actor plays Mike Tubbs has left the earth because he's going to be going into obscurity because no one's ever going to see him again. And that's what I remember about Tubbs. It was funny. So, but very good.
Awesome.
But I think, too, I thought it was a poignant show that two things that I took away that I really enjoyed was Reeves obviously adamant because he know those guys who failed. Right? Yeah. But then when talking with the principal was, maybe this is the best thing that's ever going to happen to Coolidge. Yeah. And I thought that was a take that was a counter in terms of at least they brought it up.
You know what? It's a perspective that's different from ours, right? I mean, what were we told, our generation told, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. You got to go to college. It was not a trade school or that you got to go to college. Just not even, and you will make this much more over your career if you go to college. Go to college.
All the statistics say.
And so the fact that Reeves was pushing him as, okay, you can go to pros after the college, have something to fall back on, is a very much upper middle class perspective.
Yep.
Whereas somebody who's dirt poor and is living with his mom, and they may be, give me a lottery ticket. And I'm glad that they had the principal plot provide that perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And I thought that was good too. And then the other part that I thought was good was when Reeves went to Coolidge's house and met his mother.
Yeah.
And the agent was there at the same time.
Yep.
And he said, he's not ready for the pros, Mom.
Yeah.
And he goes, he's going to ruin his future. And
yep.
her response was, we're already nobody and we're already poor.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And it was like,
exactly. How am I worse off?
How am I worse off? So I thought that was an interesting take that I really enjoyed about that episode, is that Coach Reeves looking long range, where these people are trying to make it on a day-to-day basis. But they had a house. You know, so it was
exactly. And we're never told what she does or anything like that. It's not a hardship story like in the upcoming episode where we've got some real hardships. And I will just pitch for myself. This episode led to me researching alternative leagues and researching kind of schoolyard outdoor basketball scene and kind of white men can't jump kind of the people out there hustling, making a living, and there absolutely are. And there have been some really great players, as Ken Reeves will mention in future episodes. And that turned into an entire Substack article. So I'm going to be doing a feature across all sports, major sports, on alternative ways. Can you make a living? Can you make a middle-class living if you never make it to the NHL? Let's just say something like that, or soccer, or I started writing it this morning, and I'm starting off with what I think is an amazing example is Stephon Marbury.
Oh, yeah.
Who I think if people said, it's, you know what, I think he was a disappointment in the pros. You know what I mean? He was so highly thought of and this and that. And yet the NBA is such a minuscule part of his career. Honestly, he could be president of China. He's so beloved in China, and it's amazing. And you think about a kid like that I think he's from New York, Brooklyn, wherever.
Yep.
Flying out to China and learning the subway and figuring it all out, man. Props for him. Yeah, that ain't an easy choice for a kid either.
Yeah, I read a book about him and his family years ago that kind of talked about their whole family were pretty good at basketball, and kind of he was the one that was going to make the family, bring him out of poverty, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of pressure, especially from kids in the 70s and 80s, and we see it a little bit in the next episode too about Reese. He's got that you're going to get a scholarship kind of talk. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. The one thing that I thought was maybe a little weak in this episode was I understood it, but the cautionary tale. Yeah. Where Coach Reeves takes him to the restaurant, and then he thinks he's going to meet.
Because I visit my friends while they're working on the line all the time at kitchens.
For guys who I used to work in a kitchen too as well.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine that. But
there's not room, and it's very loud.
Yeah.
And it's a dangerous place to be if you're standing in the wrong place.
And the exact same thing, and it's implied it's the exact same woman.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, what was she, 12?
So I just thought that was interesting. And his name was Jackie Solomon, who hurt himself and ended up as a dishwasher at this restaurant.
I think he's the one that says the Eastern League, they got men against boys there, and they'll beat you up. Your body won't survive.
Yep. And then that was played by an actor named Charles Robinson, who
I didn't recognize.
He was Mac Robinson, who was 80 episodes of Night Court as the clerk.
He was, absolutely. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I did not make the connection. I was not a Night Court watcher.
Wasn't a big one, but I've watched Night Court many a time. But he was that too as well, and he was also on the famed show Canon, which is another lost.
Absolutely. Oh, that I would nominate that one. We have not decided yet. I've got my favorites, and we definitely will ask folks to suggest what our future shows should be. But Canon is a nice obscure show.
Oh yeah. And I don't even know I don't even know the premise just sitting here unless I have to look at it. I remember watching it.
He was a detective. He was a large human being. He was the Fat Man from Jake and the Fat Man, many years younger. Oh, yeah. And he had his little short a revolver and he would do crime stuff.
Yeah, it's just looking at this, just starting this White Shadow, there is a plethora of things that I watched that, oh boy, does that become obscure. It was something we would watch way back then.
One of the biggest things I saw was one of the reasons you can get props to the White Shadow is at the time, the alternative depiction of high school kids was Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
In retrospect, I guess this one was really going for the hardcore reality TV.
Yeah, and I think, too, it was just like real-life kind of situations that happen for these kids. That agent, his name was, the actor's name is Art Matrano, and he is another guy that in my mind, a guy that I'd see in the 70s all the time. And he was best known as Captain Mauser in the Police Academy movies. I never saw those.
No.
But he was in, I found this interesting, and another show I never really watched, but he played the uncle of Chachi in 16 episodes of the ill-fated Joni Loves Chachi spinoff. Yeah. So I think
this is just a little thing. I will not say it because I want to keep us from having a mature tag, but search Joni Loves Chachi and Korea.
Oh, really?
Let me give you an example. So there was a car that existed for many years, the Nova. The Chevy Nova.
Oh, yeah.
They had a problem in Latin America because Nova means doesn't go.
Yeah, no go.
No go. So a bad name for a car, a bad name for a TV show, or at least the people that tuned in Korea were looking for something different.
Oh. Okay. That's a new factoid that has been now. I'll have to research.
I throw it out there in the world, and we'll see if anyone catches it.
And
go ahead.
I just want to go circle back to your Substack that you're doing, Carlos.
Yeah.
I remember watching the AFL before they became the AFC.
Oh, wow.
I remember watching a documentary about the players when they got paid, they would rush to their cars so they could be the first to the bank to cash their check before the other ones bounced. Yeah. So it was Wild West back then.
At the time, into the 70s, I think it was the 80s before you started having non-individuals owning teams, right? It was individuals. Exactly. And the vast majority of them, that was, like the model here for the Minnesota Twins, Washington Senators, that was a family company, and the family made their income. That was their only asset. That was their business.
Exactly.
And at a certain point in time, that stopped happening, and we had mega corporate stuff. But back in the early days, you'd have franchises in trouble. And you still do have franchises in trouble, but it's maybe one or two across all sports rather than... I remember, and I know nothing about hockey, but I do remember in the 70s that the North Stars had to combine rosters with the Cleveland team.
I do remember that.
The Cleveland team went defunct, but then it was the two blind brothers, the Gunda brothers from Indianapolis, that ended up with the merged team, North Stars, and then I think they're the ones that sold it to Norm.
Yeah, I think so too. And Norm moved it out to Dallas. But and then the Griffiths, I remember, I think the Twins, when it was owned by the Griffiths, was the very last team that was the business. Yeah. The family made their money from the business.
Yeah, because then it started to become a rich guy's game.
Yeah.
And then it moved beyond a rich guy's game to now you have corporate. I would not be surprised if you don't have hedge funds and they figured out a way to exploit it, right? I have to imagine that owning the Dodgers is better than owning a printing press for money.
And I think so too, that these guys know that it's an investment, right? I mean, they'll buy for X and then now it's worth a trillion, billion. Some of these things, I don't know if trillion may be too much, but at least
think about the contrast though. You've got people that view it purely as an investment and fans that it becomes part of who they are as people. You've got crazy passion, insane passion, a lot of times illogical passion. A lot of times illogical passion combined with alcohol, but at the same time, you have the owners of the team. I get the feeling that the Wilfs would dig. It's like they got lots of money. They would dig. So you've got the ego ownership where it's on, I want a championship, but most of them are not. Most of them are. And maybe that's why Carlos never became a billionaire, because I was thinking about things that mattered more to my heart than to my bank accounts.
Yeah. And another thing with circle back to the episode, we know that Carter always wore a necklace. In this episode, the big gift that he got from the girlfriend was a necklace with cool on it.
Yes.
And it didn't take much in the 70s and 80s to whatever gift it was for jewelry was not that big.
Well, when she goes into the jewelry store and doesn't have to ask the price for the ankle bracelet, it was $85.
Yeah.
No, I don't need to know the price. Anyways, it's quaint. So next episode, I got lots of notes on pregnant pause.
Yes.
You want to set up the plot a little bit, or?
Yeah. So it's Milton Reese, who's one of the main kind of cast characters.
Yep.
He has a girlfriend who's a cheerleader of the
Carver. They just have the C because we've established it's
That's
just
right,
Carver.
A logo. And she tells Milton that she's pregnant, and she tries to, with that sort of news, the Milton wants him to quit school, get a job, do all that sort of thing. And Milton is quite conflicted, to say the least.
Any 17 or 18-year-old in that position would have, he had a deer in the headlights look for a while there in that episode. And then you get some background on the young lady. She is one of 8 children.
Yeah, and
her
the
mother
oldest
has some kind of illness or something, where
basically
or works or something. But this high school cheerleader, she's responsible for taking care of all of her brothers and sisters.
Exactly,
and this is where I was kind of shocked. Was this a 70s thing, or were these guys going on, or was fake pregnancy accusations, just like fake rape accusations? It was just the thing for the 70s, because that's a kind of a touchy topic, I would think.
Right. If I had to guess, I bet you that was something that was maybe not ripped from the headlines, but maybe that was something that was.
I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm just saying that I think that the more realistic scenario is that the young man bails on him, which is what his teammates tell him to do. Get on a bus, Gus. Get out of town. She'll never find you. Be smart, and that is the course I'm willing to stake. That is. More often than not, of course, the choice a lot of young people make. Ignore the problem. But in the episode, we have 2 different perspectives, and we have a conversation, which I'm still saying wow about, between the vice principal. Vice principal is the one that provides all of the background to Ken Reeves.
Correct.
And then Ken Reeves just kind of wanders on the fact that she signed up for cheerleading next year. And actually, back up. Reeves finds out because his best friend, who's sworn to secrecy, tells everybody.
Which is really the dynamic of what would really high school kind of thing. And
exactly. Don't tell anyone. Oh, of course not. What's the field? And he tells Salami.
Yeah, and then it's all over.
All over. And actually, I think it's good that Reeves chastised him. Your best friend in the world, right? Told you a secret, right? You didn't keep it. That's why I'm benching you. I thought that was cool. Good life lesson from a coach. But the vice principal, she's the one that brings in the context of this girl's life. And then Reeves finds out she signed up for cheerleading practice, even though she wants Milton to drop out of school right away and get a job. And Reeves starts smelling a rat. She hasn't missed any school. She hasn't gone to the nurse. So he raised it with the vice principal, and she just slaps him down with, not all women have morning sickness. Not all women, not everybody would know. I can tell you, women are really good at sniffing out other pregnant women very quickly. There's no way that is a secret, because someone's running to the bathroom a lot, or eating soda crackers, or doing any number of the things that women need to do to get through those first weeks of pregnancy.
I just thought the Reeves and the young woman and Reese. Reeves' major concern was, Reese, you got a chance to get a scholarship. Yeah. You try to get a college, you could get out of there.
Because they set up Reese as one of the better players. He's legit got a shot at a scholarship.
And they have that scout. I forget what school he was from.
Yeah, Maryland.
Yes. And that guy's dressed to the nines, baby, right?
Yeah.
When he comes to the game, and when Reese isn't playing bad because he's distracted.
And he's also benching Thorpe for
until he doesn't.
Until he doesn't.
Thorpe, have you learned your lesson?
Exactly. Because I see the scoreboard.
Yep. And then the penultimate talk with Reeves, the girl, and Milton takes place in like a dining car, right? It's a diner and a dining car, which is still, I think, in LA today. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was.
Now, I find it interesting that I realize you can't say buy a beer, but I'm surprised you wouldn't say get a soda rather than a cup of coffee. Because when I was in high school, the concept of coffee didn't exist. It wasn't part of my life. And once again, I'm going 70. Maybe all the kids want their fancy coffee now, and it's a normal part of, high school life. But it wasn't for me in the 80s and the 70s. So.
Yeah, and then one of the conversations between Sybil and Ken,
I know
was probably the one thing I couldn't even say it on this podcast today.
I can't. The context is he goes, "Stop calling me Mr. Reese," right?
Correct.
They're starting to understand each other and converse. They don't agree, but they're starting to understand each other. And he's, "Stop calling me Mr. Reeves." And she goes, "Ken, then." And he said, "A simple something will do," which was like, wow. That's the kind of stuff that we would say when we were 6 on the playground and we didn't know any better. Wow.
And that would be all over the news. So all you folks who want to watch the episode, it's shocking for someone who lives in 2026.
It is. Yeah, you would not even, I hate cancel culture fever dream. Is that going to be used? But a couple other really huge highlights is that Ken Reeves employs I remember forgetting the name of the coach of the Temple. But he would do morning practices, right? Because he's like, if they're too tired at night, they can't go out and get in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Cheney? John Cheney, maybe?
Cheney is his last name, yeah.
Yeah. So they have a morning practice, and they're like, these morning practices are killing me. And then we get the first performance of My Way in the shower.
There we go.
And that, to me, if I was describing the show to somebody, that's one of the highlights for me. I don't know. That's because maybe I'm a white suburban kid, and My Way's a good tune. But at no point in my life, from birth to today, ever had a desire to join in song with my fellow shower friends at the gym. Never. But I always thought it was so damn cool.
Yep. And of course, that ends with Abner Goldstein, the white Jewish kid, trying to sing. And then they all just, he killed it. That away, Abner. And I think we'll have to see on the theme. I thought I've seen some things where he becomes more of a caricature of himself. Even he was the only one who played college basketball. Yeah. Was the actor who played him. So I thought that was an interesting take. And Nathan Cook, who played Milton Reese, he died in 1988.
Oh, wow. He died young.
38. And so he was young. And he had one of the great cameos in National Lampoon's Vacation. He played when the family truckster, they got lost. Chevy Chase got lost. Yeah. When he needed to ask directions, it was Nathan Cook, who played Milton Reese, who distracted him while his mates
stole everything. I remember this scene. Oh, that's awesome.
And it was Milton Reese. And I'll never forget that because I was such a big fan of The White Shadow. When I saw him on this, I was like, great. And I guess he also had a recurring role on the TV show Hotel. Oh, wow. Another obscure 80s.
Very obscure 80s show that, as I recall, had some kind of, was trying to basically do Dynasty in a hotel, in a luxury hotel.
Yeah, and he had highfalutin actors and actresses on that show. Gene Simmons, who was a famous actress, would appear on that show. But so I thought that what I like to call as the salami, the discussion between the vice principal and Ken Reeves, Sybil, being the one thing that jars you. It was I thought, a heartwarming kind of thing. And then Coach, when he comes back to practice after the pregnancy scare, Coach Reese says, "What are we doing? What are you doing? Are we flapping our gums or are you playing ball?" And then him and Kevin Hooks, they make up for he apologizes for his letting go and talking about the pregnancy when he was sworn to secrecy.
So that they wrapped that up nicely. But I'm excited for next week. We're going to start out with the episode Wanna Bet? And I'm going to lay for you when we talk about it next week. I think I think that the plot of Wanna Bet has been used in big shows and movies before. I'll just leave it like that.
All right. Well, we'll till next week. Thanks, Carlos.
Thanks, Joe. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yep. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye now.